Welcome to episode 22. And today we have Linda Marie Smith from Bay Coast Travel. And we're always excited to have our viewers. And we also, more importantly, we like to interview business owners so that way you can get a chance to learn a little bit more about them. Um, because in this day and age, we need to learn how to support each other. So it's one of the things that we like to do as far as helping business owners and our members at Black Folk Hotspots get more exposure. So if you're watching this on YouTube or you're watching this on Black Folk Hotspots or you're watching this on Google Plus or even on someone else's site across the internet, you can always find the links in the description to find out more about the business owners. So I have Linda Marie, who's been in travel for a while. So what I want Linda to do is tell us about who she is, how long she's been in business. And I know travel is such a big um, it's a big space. Um, so if you specialize in something that you do very well, something that you really, really, really do, talk about that. So Linda, at this point, you have the floor.
Okay. Well, thank you for inviting me, first of all. And basically, what I do is I act as a cruise specialist, and that's basically because for over 20 years, I've been in the travel industry in some aspect. Uh, I worked for two cruise lines, American Hawaii, which is no longer in business, and Seabourn and Cunard line. And I worked in sales in all of those cruise lines. I've traveled extensively to different parts of Europe, Alaska, and Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, that type of thing. But anyway, what I basically do is I assist people who are overwhelmed with searching on travel sites to plan the perfect getaway. And I do it for the best value, and I specialize in luxury cruises. And then I also specialize in all inclusive honeymoon packages. So that's basically what I do.
Okay. So and 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 you brought up something that leads me to another question. What is considered a luxury cruise?
Well, luxury cruises are the higher end cruise lines, such as Crystal, Silver Sea, Seabourn, Asmara. The kind of more budget friendly cruises are at one time American Hawaii. Carnival is considered just a medium, regular type of cruise type of experience. Royal Caribbean, and they can vary as far as luxury, but they're geared more towards families and singles.
Okay.
But
Um,
again, that changes. That Yeah.
because I was thinking more on destinations, but you mentioned some cruise lines I've never heard
Well,
of
it is.
before.
Well, that's true. The destination is going to determine the luxury, but more than likely, it's the ship and the experience on the ship. So
Mhm.
your lines like Cunard and, like I said, Crystal and Seabourn, those are considered your luxury cruises.
Because when I say I've never heard of those cruise lines before, I mean it. I mean I've heard of Carnival, but no, that's pretty
Yeah,
interesting
yeah.
because
Well,
that's something that I never would have thought about. But here's
yeah.
another question. Why is what sets you apart from, say, if I wanted to book a cruise and I went online to some site? What's different? Why would I use a travel agent like yourself versus doing
Well,
it
first of
myself?
all, here's one misconception that people have about travel agents and travel agencies is that they think that you're going to be charged more if you deal with a travel agent because they're thinking, well, how do you make your money? And some agencies do charge fees because they have a lot of people who are just checking out prices and that type of thing because of the internet. But the advantage when you are dealing with a travel agent is, first, you don't pay, a lot of times you don't pay a fee, and I don't charge a fee for my services. Secondly, when you're online with Travelocity or Orbitz or whoever that you're going through, you're representing yourself, and that can be at a disadvantage in the sense that if something does not go right, or if it doesn't pan out the right way with a travel agent, especially someone who has the connections that I have in the travel industry. I work with the different district managers of the cruise lines and land tour operators, and they know that I'm backed up by a lot of clients. So
Hmm.
they're going to keep me happy as far as if I say, I've got a group or a family or a single person and they're doing this, and, can you add on a little bit, maybe another shore excursion or something that's, kind of customized. So with the travel agent, they are representing you. So if there's a problem that you really need a little more customized, you've got that person in the middle who's representing you instead of going on your own.
And I think that's a good thing too. Believe it or not, because I like having that single source where I'm dealing with someone like yourself versus dealing with you
Mm-hmm.
know where I may be one of you know X amount of clients for you. Just say hypothetically speaking, I may be one of 100 clients with you, but with the cruise line, I'm one of 100,000. You know, and if you can
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you can rock and roll and get me moving in certain directions, that's what
yeah,
I and I always you know that's something that I look for. But I know that a lot of people have that misconception. That's why I brought that up. Where they're like, oh well,
yeah,
which gets me every time. It's like, why are we using, why are we using this person or why are we doing this? I'm like, no, you should be
yeah.
using a travel agent. I mean,
Oh
it
yeah,
just makes it,
it's really important.
and I've heard things like
Uh,
luggage or something getting lost or just something happening where we can, a person having you as a contact, you can get things moving a whole lot
right,
quicker than I may be able to.
right. And then
Plus,
also, I'm dealing with a district sales manager on every cruise line. So they're trying to make me and my agency happy because we bring them a lot of business. But if you're just Joe Blow by yourself on Travelocity or whoever, you're just representing yourself, and good luck for getting something special or doing something a little more customized. And usually because we have the experience that we've traveled, uh, we can give you a little better background on how to plan a getaway or a cruise.
right, because I could be like, hey, I want to go here, you know, and you're like,
Hmm.
this is what you want to do. You might want to do this.
Well, I had that situation not too long ago. Right now, Mexico is, I'm just kind of leery. And I had been talking to one of the district managers at one of the cruise lines, and they said, we've been hearing that a lot from the travel agents. Now, the public doesn't really care because sometimes they're not aware of things. But, a lot of information comes through my desk, and I'm concerned about it. So they're doing a lot of California coastal cruises now instead of the. Now, it's not that Mexico isn't, they're not doing it, but there's some cruise lines that are customizing their itinerary to not hit so many ports in Mexico.
Ah, is it okay? And is it because of El Chapo's loose?
Oh yeah, it has a lot to do with that. Yeah, yeah. There's
El
also
Chapo's
places
loose.
in
Stop.
yeah,
No, and the
there's some
reason,
places in
and
Egypt.
I'll tell you the reason why I mentioned that, even though I was being like half serious and half funny at the same time, is that I have a buddy that lives in San Antonio, and last year I went and visited him, stayed there for I don't know, maybe a week or two, and they were talking about
Right.
certain things in San Antonio back then a year ago,
Oh
you
yeah,
know. And he was like, "Hey
yeah.
man, there's a
And
lot of stuff going on that don't hit the rest of the news." You know,
well, yeah,
uh,
and there's hot spots in the Middle East that there are cruises that do that area, and they've kind of change their itinerary a bit because of the problems, political and terrorist problems. So yeah, that happens, and we have to stay abreast of that every day. So.
Now I'm starting to, now do you have a specific agency, or you're not working, like I hear, like, I've seen these things, uh these different little travel pop-up companies where you got a bunch of people working for them. Maybe they've set it up like, YTB or something like that, or you see these signs, you should be here. Now, you are you affiliated with one of them, or this is solely you?
Well, this is I work through a larger agency, and that's they. Well, the reason why I do that is for marketing purposes.
Uh-huh.
But Bay Coast Travel is Bay Coast Travel. That's my agency. So, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Um,
Yeah.
Now, what's the value and advantage of vacationing by cruise versus, say, by land?
There are quite a few advantages. First of all, the number one thing is you're just packing and unpacking one time.
Mm,
When you're on the the cruise ship is your floating hotel. So it takes you to the different destinations. I always suggest, like, if you want to cover a lot of area for the best value, and especially for women, is to cruise. And the reason being is, a cruise is kind of all inclusive except for the shore excursions and the other amenities. But it's basically all inclusive. Your hotel is traveling and it taking you to the destination. It's also a good value for families too because of that all inclusive aspect. Um, you get to sample a lot of different areas. I suggest a land package if you've been on a cruise and you like maybe two destinations. Then I say, okay, then maybe your next trip you may want to single out one particular destination, stay there, to do the land package. But if you want the best value to see a lot of area, I say cruising is it.
okay.
It's just you just get a better value.
What is Now? Do you also do you vacation? Do you cruise a lot? Do you go on trips? And
Yeah, yeah. Oh, as much as I can, not as much as I used to, but yeah, I do.
so, what is what's the best one you've ever been on?
Well, it wasn't the most exciting, but it was the best because I was able to. I'm just thinking of all of the ones that I've taken. The one with my son, it was at that time it was a 2 week on Seabourn Cruise Line, and we sailed out of New York and we went up into Nova Scotia, Montreal, Newfoundland, and Quebec. And that was really nice because we did like a 2 night hotel prior to the cruise and 2 nights after just to get acclimated to the long, you know, plane trip from New York back to San Francisco. So that was really
Okay.
my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Now,
Yeah.
you said Nova Scotia. That's pretty good because we have a lot of, as far as black people, we got a lot of history in Nova Scotia, and
Yes. Yes.
a lot of people don't know that. So when you mentioned it, I was like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, we got that. See, and that's what. Do you now? Now you said you specialize mostly in doing like wedding destination deals and
Well, I do. Most of my specialize mainly in cruises. Um, I do also wedding destinations, but I specifically do Italy for wedding destinations because I have a good contact there that is really helpful. So I've kind of limited. I do like maybe two specializing, and that's just the wedding destinations in Italy, and then just cruises in general. And I specialize in groups or honeymoons, that type of thing.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Um, Let me see here. Because travel is something. Now, let me. Do you Now, what's the deal with men? Why don't we travel? Why don't, I mean, because I keep hearing these things. Men don't travel. Men don't do this. Men don't do that. Are you seeing these things, or how do you see this? Do we or don't we?
Well, no, you do travel. You travel mostly as family men, and as guests for destination weddings. But the majority of time, it's usually the woman. Well, it's funny. It depends on what type of travel you're talking about. Because when you do adventure travel and corporate travel, I see more men that do that. But I don't do that anymore. I used to work at an agency, American Express. This has been years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the corporate travel division. So it was mostly executives. And we also did adventure type travel. And I noticed that, but it's, that's predominantly men.
I hear it a lot, and I don't know what it is. I love going new places. I love seeing new things. But it's hard for me to a lot of times to set up a vacation. To just set up a time.
Exactly.
It really is.
Exactly.
And let's see. I know that's my biggest thing. I'll do a 1 or 2 day deal and go somewhere that's within a couple hour car drive, and be back.
Right.
And but I see a lot of the women like, hey, we're going on a cruise, so one of the things that I have, go ahead. I'm sorry.
There are like 3 and 4 day cruises, and periodically for different ships sometimes they have cruises to no, which means that they just go out to sea and they don't really go anywhere and they come back. So it's just the experience of doing that for maybe just a few days. Or I do a lot of ship tours too, because I'm in San Francisco and we are a port town. So a lot of the ships that come in are mostly Princess Crystal cruises, I believe, and some Celebrity. But I take a lot of people. I have a meetup group that I meet with on kind of like every month or every 2 months. And I set up ship tours for people who just love cruising. And, that's a way for them to experience the next voyage that they want to take.
Oh, yeah, because that way they get the chance to see, they get a chance to see the ship and everything about it. That's interesting.
Yeah, I do that on a regular basis. So, and I do that for people who have already cruised. They're veterans at cruising, or newbies, people who've never cruised before. So I take advantage of the fact that we're out here in San Francisco, and the ships come in, and I get a group together and we go on board and we get a tour of the ship, and then we have lunch.
That's pretty okay. And I guess it's kind of cool to be in a port type city.
Yeah.
And
you love cruising, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it would be, versus, because I don't think any cruise ships leave out of Chicagoland area, do they?
Well, no. No.
Do anything cruise on Lake Michigan?
No. Well, there's probably, little boats and stuff.
Little boats.
But before I lived here, and even before I worked for a cruise line, I grew up in the Midwest, and we went to Milwaukee, I remember, and that was my first time on a boat, and it seemed like after that I was just hooked with the water and, being on a boat or something that floated. So.
It's funny you say that, because I get my best ideas when I'm around water, believe it or not, in the shower, washing dishes. My mind just floats. Now, I haven't been on a cruise, and that's been the one thing that I've always said that I need to do. And do you work? And this is more of a personal question. Do you guys, as travel agents, do you work with other travel agents? Like, or is that something that like, say if somebody was putting on an event, is there just one travel agent, or could it be, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 working together?
5 or 8 travel agents working together.
Mm-hmm. Is that something that's common or uncommon? Like, for instance, Tom Joyner does this cruise every year, right? You know, this Tom, he does this big cruise, and it's huge because they're pretty much buying out the whole boat.
The whole ship. Yeah, right.
So would that just be one travel agent, or would that be a several travel agents?
It may be because I have well, she's not really a friend, but someone in the industry that I've known about for years here in San Francisco, and she started out not chartering the ship, but actually just having a large group. And over the years, it's gotten larger and larger. And now she just charters a whole ship for a theme type of cruise. I don't do that. I do just groups. I can handle any amount of a group. But in the case of Tom Joyner and those other cruises like that, a lot of times that's handled by maybe just one agency.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they may allow other agents to book it and, you know, get paid for that, you know, a commission on that. But most of the time, that's just through one agency.
I see. Okay, I see. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense too.
I mean, there's no difference. And because I worked for cruise lines on the wholesale end, which meant I wasn't the travel agent. I actually worked in the office of the cruise line. There's no difference in selling one cruise as opposed to 100. It's the same thing, you know. It's just more of it. That's all. It's so that's why a lot of times that's usually just one agency handling it.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. I get it. Okay.
So now that you may look at, you know, when you decide since you have Black folks hotspots, that's something that you may want to do.
That's why I asked.
Yeah. Yeah, and Big Coast Travel, we handle those things.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Cruises. Yeah.
That's exactly why I asked, because there's something that's in the back of my head, and I would want to do something big. And I like the water. I think water does you know, now that I know certain things behind it, I know that it does certain things into mind, body, spirit, and I've seen nothing more than, you know, getting all these Black business owners together to do one big something on a cruise where, you know, we're all on this boat, so we have to spend time, we have to talk to each other, we'll see each other at dinner and this, that, and the other. And I got that experience that was really weird, that I never would have thought about. But I took the train, the Amtrak, from Seattle to Chicago last year, and I was really impressed because, you know, normally I'd be like, oh, you know, it's going to take 2 days, you know, or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and fly. I'll be there in 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever, you know. And it was more expensive to take the train. But I said, you know what? I'm going to take the train. And it slowed me down. You know,
yes, exactly.
My phone didn't work through those mountains, so I couldn't even be on the phone touching buttons and this, that, and the other. So you had to communicate with other people.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah.
And I met so many unbelievable people that I know that I never would have even talked to, and I'm sure they probably would have never talked to me. I found out because it was this one lady that was on there, and she was like, all I do is travel. I travel for a living. I'm like, huh? I'm like, how do you do that? How do you make money?
Yeah.
And she was telling me that she teaches English in other countries. So she does English as a second language in other countries. So, and they'll provide her travel. They'll bring her in and give her a wage so she can live this place for 6 months or 8 months. I'm like, wow. Yeah. And here's the funny part. And I came back and was telling my sister. She was like, why did that lady have to tell you that? Because that'll be you. You'll be like, I know, I got this. I'm about to go move to Dubai. It is. And it was something and it was really interesting. I never would have met that lady. The first night on the Amtrak, some guy that had just chopping it up, right? He was like, hey, I'm gonna buy you, you know, and we happened to go eat at the same time. And I don't know if the boats do that. They partner people up together. But
they have different dining times, and it's really kind of open seating. Sometimes on your certain cruise lines, they may have a reserved seating. Everyone wants to get at the captain's table because that's really nice.
Mm.
And see, that's what a travel agent can do for you. They can say, "Look, I want my people at the captain's table tonight," or that type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was cool. Because that night he was like, "Hey," and I was kind of glad he did because I didn't realize that. I was like, it was a little bit less expensive, but God, it was like $27 for a hamburger. I'm like, what? Amtrak making a killing.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was good. It was a good time, and I am going to do more of that. We'll talk definitely more about that offline. But one thing that I want to ask you, I've never been to California. Never.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I don't think I've been west of Texas. Right.
All right.
Well, I guess I have when I was in Seattle, right? So, but I've never been down that coast.
Yeah.
So, and I hear so many good things. Obviously we see things, we hear things, especially with the internet. So you're open to so many different things, and I know people all around the world now. What's one thing about San Francisco besides the Golden State Bridge?
What's Golden Gate?
The Golden Gate Bridge. Right. My bad. What's something in Seattle not in Seattle, in San Francisco that everyone should see?
Everyone should what?
Should see. Something that they should see that's in your city, that's in San Francisco, that if I knew you were coming to Chicago, I knew you were coming to Gary, like, hey, you got to do this. What's the one thing you would tell a person that's coming to San Francisco? You have to see this.
Well, it's so many touristy spots that is part of San Francisco. And, this sounds really corny, but I have to say Fisherman's Wharf.
Okay.
You just have to see Fisherman's Wharf and that whole area, Fisherman's Wharf, but the area right next to it, the cannery. Those are the only, from what I know, they're the only brick buildings that really are old and stand in San Francisco. And it's just beautiful. There's a lot of shops, but it's near the bay, and it's just, it's touristy, but it's nice. It's a lot of energy, a lot of people. Other than that, I would say just the Marina District.
Okay.
Is very pretty. So many different spots of San Francisco that are just. But I would just say basically the, Ghirardelli Square, the Cannery, and Fisherman's Wharf.
Now, San Francisco and Oakland.
That's what San
Francisco and Oakland, they kind of share. They like border each other. Am I correct? Am I thinking?
They share a bridge, the Bay Bridge, but that's about it. We're different from Oakland. Oakland is more inland.
Okay.
It's San Francisco is like sticking your thumb up, so it's covered on all three sides basically by water. On the far west is the Pacific, and up north and to the east we're covered by the bay. So we're surrounded basically by water, whereas Oakland only sees the bay, and that's it.
Okay.
So it's
okay.
Different flavor, but Oakland is nice.
I know the Super Bowl is in San Francisco this year, I think.
Well, that's the thing. Here's the thing about San Francisco. People will even say they're from San Francisco, and they actually live in Vallejo, which is way far away, but everybody knows San Francisco. People that live in Oakland a lot of times will say, "Oh, I live in San Francisco," because a lot of people haven't heard of Oakland. But I'm in San Francisco. And in other words, from my bedroom window, I can see City Hall, so I'm in San Francisco.
Right. E40, the rapper, he's from Vallejo.
Yeah.
I've heard it in the song. I'm like, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. But anyway, the Super Bowl for next year, that's not actually in San Francisco. That's going to be played down the peninsula in Santa Clara. But there's going to be a lot of partying in San Francisco because all of the hotels now. I did had a meeting not too long ago downtown with different hoteliers and people that own hotels and managers and whatever. And they're expecting a lot of people coming into San Francisco, and then they'll shuttle them down to Santa Clara or limousines or whatever. So these are the guys that have the corporate seats and whatever. So, but that's not going to be in San Francisco, but there will be a lot of activity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, I'm gonna wrap this up, but I want you to have the final shots to tell people something that you might want them to know and how to contact you to support your business.
Well, again, I really help the people who are overwhelmed with searching online on those various travel sites, and I help them to create the perfect getaway. I specialize in group themed cruises for large groups or just families or singles. And I also do wedding destinations in Italy. Also all-inclusive honeymoons. And that's mainly in the Caribbean where I do those. So there's really three things: cruises, the weddings in Italy, and the honeymoon, all-inclusive honeymoon packages in the Caribbean, like the Bahamas, Jamaica, whatever. And my website is Bay Coast Travel, and that's basically it's Bay and then dash coasttravel.com.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and then I also have a Facebook page. You can look me up on Facebook, Bay Coast Travel. Yeah.
Awesome. And if you're also looking for a travel agent, you can also find Linda on Black Oak Hotspots, and all the links are there. You also can find a link because there's a link in the description of this video wherever you're watching. If you're a Black business owner, create a profile so that we can share, introduce you, and get you on these interviews so we can introduce you to the world and help you get more exposure, which should, over time, equal more clients. I do have one quick question. Because you're in San Francisco, are most of your clients out of San Francisco, or do you have clients all across the United States?
No, they're all over the world. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I deal with anybody. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Perfect. All right. Well, here's the deal. Linda, I want to just tell you a couple things. I know that you are a premium member, but I also want to tell you some things that you should post on Black Oak Hotspots to help increase your exposure. I always like to give a person, like we talked about, your expertise in Italy, right?
Right.
If you posted some of that, like if you post, just maybe a blog post, or if you do videos on YouTube, you may not do that, but you should, and talk more about the sights and sounds in Italy, the great places in Italy that because we may know what we see as far as on commercials, right? But it may be some other spots that we may never know about. A person may say, you know what, I want to go there.
Yeah.
Or one thing that you also mentioned, I would do this. I would do a top five Caribbean destinations for your wedding.
That's good. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you, those posts do really well on Black Oak Hotspots because we're not always thinking about. You see those things and you're like, wow. And then what happens is, you make sure you have your links and this, that, and the other, so people can book you through that. And what we do, obviously, is we're gonna share it. Like I'm looking at something you posted on July 14th. 13 night exotic Southern Caribbean Celebrity Eclipse, right? Well, if you made that into an event, we would be sharing that over and over and over again.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. The same thing with the Turkey and Greece celebration, constellation. Those things, I will put those out, and we'll put those into the rotation, and they'll be going through the system. And and so in a nutshell, that's something that you could be adding to the things you do. And once you post it, from that point on, we take over and we get it going.
I got you. Right.
And
okay.
So
in other words, post it as an event.
Yes. Now the status part is great, but if you post it as an event, that's even better, because it's we get more search traffic. It's going through Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, because I know that you're not. I don't think that you're on Twitter.
I am on Twitter.
Okay. Well, you don't have that link in your description.
Oh, okay. I better put that in. Yeah. I also have. Yeah, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest.
Okay. Pinterest is not on there.
Oh wow. I put that.
So we have website, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I know that we have 2 more slots for 2 more links. And I will put those, that way people, because what happens is people like to connect with, they'll connect with you. They may not buy something right now off of Black Folk Hotspot, but they'll use Black Folk Hotspots to click to follow you on Facebook, or if that's where they hang out at, follow you on Twitter to see your updates. So yeah, those are things that I would do. And if you geared it towards something on, like some blog posts, or even if even if you uploaded some flyers, like I know you get like sales slicks and different things in your emails where you can look at certain things. If you took those pictures, saved them to the computer, uploaded them in Black Folk Hotspot, say, hey, here's something you might not have been thinking about for your wedding, or for your class reunion, or for your for whatever.
Right.
Check this out. Put a link in the description, and people they will contact you. Believe me, people spend time on the site. So it works.
Oh yeah.
So that's how.
That's good information.
So so I thought I wanted to let you know that, and then we'll let you wrap up. I appreciate you coming on today. I know we had some little tech difficulties, but you know what? It turned out to be all right. It turned out to be all right, didn't it?
It turned out to be very good.
Anytime you want to chat, anything you have coming up, like if you book in a new destination cruise or theme cruise, or you're partnering with some other agents where you're going to share in the commissions, whatever, post those things, or come on and let's talk about it for 5, 10, 15 minutes.
Very good.
Absolutely. Good. Absolutely. That's what we want to do. We want to, here's what happened, and you'll probably get this more than anybody else because you're out there. I look at San Francisco as a tech hub, and Silicon Valley, I'm sure, somewhere around there somewhere. And when I look at the flow charts of these companies, I see very few Black people.
Yes.
And that pisses me off every time I see that, right? And I see these people doing interviews. If you're not some big time celebrity, you're not getting on a show to put your business out. Now, we're just getting started with this. We're just on episode, 21 or 22. My goal is to do 1,000 of these, 10,000 of these, 15, to where they like, hey, you know what? Do you want your own show on network television? Because I want to, and that's sort of like Arsenio Hall did for celebrities and different things, where he brought a whole different angle. Yes. Not like a Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel. And I like both of them, or David Letterman, but you didn't see us, on those shows.
Exactly. Well, that was my prime reason for when I found out about your website for signing up, because I thought this is a great idea. This is, I've got to be involved in this. So.
And I appreciate that.
I really, I appreciate being here.
It works. It works so much. I know that we do so much more than what we've been paid for. I mean, we share stuff that ordinarily, it's not all about the money. Plus, I call it social capitalism, but at the same time, we got to pay some bills. And I look at if we can bring more of us together. It's no other way. We're gonna support each other. You know, we're buying and supporting each other. You know, it doesn't matter if there's 1,000 travel agents. Everybody does something different. Like, you're the first travel agent that I've ever talked to that talked about Italy.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, as a specific, right? And that was unique to that was different because it's something that I never even thought about. You know, I'm not Italian. I'm not Sicilian. I mean, I get it, but you know, yeah. But so what I'm saying is, it's not something that pops in my head. You know, things that pop in my head are the Bahamas, Jamaica, Cancun, Mexico. I never thought about the Canadian tour, even though I heard that was a great cruise.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful. Yeah.
I heard Alaska cruise is really nice too.
Oh, they are. Yes.
Yeah. You know, but I guess in this part of the country, that's what we're not. You know, it's just something that I think, what I tried to do was find the niche that we can find, and what can we do in this crowded space and this crowded internet to bring Black folks together and to do something. And I think, and even the corporate companies that I worked for, when I was working for technology, like I said, even though I had all these companies, medium to large companies, and I had North Florida, that was the second part. First time when I was with the company, not the first time, but before I transferred inside the company, I had healthcare facilities from South Carolina all the way to West Virginia. But what I tried to do was find a small little niche and just go after all those type of organizations, where Italy like the back of your hand, you know what I mean? So you can bring something to the table that maybe somebody else didn't even think about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and that's, you be the authority on going to Italy. You know what I mean? But yeah, I really do appreciate it. I just thought I would throw it out there. Like I said, I like to have conversations, and I normally would have these conversations when I'm talking to, our members on the telephone. But then I start going, I'll have this conversation, be a great conversation, great information shared both ways, and there's no way to share this with anybody else.
Yeah.
Or there's no way to recall this, because this video, you'll be able to find it on YouTube. You'll be able to find it on Black Folk Hotspots. And if anybody else pick it up, you'll be able to go back and be like, oh yeah, he talked about that. You know what I mean? Or you can share it with your people and say, hey, you know what? Which I would hope, share with your people and say, hey, check out this video, this interview I just did. And what happens is, maybe somebody sees it, says, hey, you know what? I'm a Black business owner. I may not be in travel, but I'm a real estate agent. I want to be on Black Folk Hotspots too. Right. And now because eventually we're going to start doing these group interviews.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, and just bring them in and let because I'm in business. I've been in business for, I've been with Black Folk Hotspots since November 2008. But I know there's people who are starting business right now that are wondering, should they quit, or which direction should they go, because they don't have a mentor, they don't have anybody. But we have to bring each other up because it benefits all of us.
Yeah.
That's my take on it anyway. But I appreciate it. I'm not gonna keep you much longer. I do have another interview later, but I really, really appreciate it. It was a great conversation. Let's rock and roll. Let's help you book some more cruises and destinations.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Peace. Thanks for watching Black Folk Hotspots episode 22. It's in the books. Stay tuned. Like, subscribe, share the playlist. Go get your Support Black Business shirt. You can go to bfhsnetwork.com/support BFHS. The link's in the description. The link to find out more information about Linda and contact her about some of the things that you may not have thought about as far as travel. She may know. Matter of fact, she probably does know with 20 years of experience. So, but definitely Check us out, Black Business Owners, create profile, blackoakspots.com. Peace.